Before I could utter a word, they placed a cotton cloth over my mouth. I was being chloroformed. It was then I began to black out. Line. End of chapter 3, I'm assuming. Onwards. I know what you're up to, said a voice, and I want you to stay out of what you're trying to find. That's one way to incriminate yourself. I began to finally come out of my unconscious state. Once I woke up, I found myself in the back of a limo. In front of me were Big B as well as the 2 Koopa Troopas, sitting on either side of me. The fat bastard. It was him who had sent them to drug me. Sorry about the chloroform, he apologized with a fat grin. But I prefer to talk in private. I may have taken a very surreal drink, but I'm not stupid. I had a feeling you would try to investigate me. Well, gee, I wonder why. Maybe it's because your cousin's dead? Enough was enough. I had questions and he had answers to them. All right, confess, W. I knew you did it so you could gain control of your cousin's business. He said nothing to me for a moment. Just then he glared at me like a cat getting ready to pounce and said, You're close, but this is not my doing. Sure, I may have assisted it, but I'm not fully behind the operation. Geez, what's with this guy? He just pretty much confessed, well, I didn't actually kill him, but I was partially behind it. Not very bright, are you, Mr. W? Then who is? I demanded. He didn't answer. He just nodded at the 2 numbskulls sitting next to me and tossed me out of the limo. Before they drove off, I heard the fat ham yell, I'm not your man, Sam. However, I may have been behind your new wife. Plus, I suggest you drop the case while you still can. Boss won't be happy about this with you nosing about. I was flat on my face when I heard the tires screech and drive off. Once the limo was gone, I got up and stood up on the sidewalk I was dropped off at. I looked about my surroundings. I thought about what he said before he dumped me here. What did he mean by being behind my new wife? Was Crystal hired to do such a thing, or was this all a setup? I had to get back to the office to find out. I stuck my thumb and a cab stopped in front of me in a split second. Now that's my kind of ride. As I stepped inside the yellow car, the cabbie said, Hedgehog Express, where to, Sam? I then realized who it was. Sonic was quite the speed demon when it came to taxi travel. To my office, and fast, I responded. In an instant, the car bolted onto the street faster than a locomotive, unfortunately running over a bunch of people in the process. Oops. So, how is your good old boxing friend doing? I asked. Oh, Knuckles is doing fine, he said while passing a red light. He won another match last night. Seeing how we are his sponsors, we're giving our members free rides and non-members half price. Seeing how you are my favorite customer, no fee for the trip. I helped him out once in a case where his champ of a friend was framed for taking drugs during his match with Ivo Robotnik. Some call him by his boxing name, Eggman. It turns out his opponent set him up so he could take the win. You know what, I never really pictured Robotnik as a boxer. He seemed too fat and stupid. Well, at least in Sonic X version of the show. Robotnik was always the cheating son of a bitch he was. As he pulled in front of the building, I said goodbye and gave him a tip of 50 cents for his troubles, and ran inside to my workspace. There, sitting in my office, was Fox and Crystal, whom we were possibly sharing between each other. Apparently, they were waiting for me. I closed the door tight to avoid open ears listening. Please take a seat, he said. We were just talking about the possibility of who could have killed Mario. I think I'd rather stand, I responded. I was menaced by Big W during my investigation. He is not the murderer, but he was behind something else. At that very moment, our beloved Blue Gem burst into tears and began to spill the beans. Okay, I confess. I was at the bar last night, but for a different reason. A couple of weeks ago, I heard you two were highly recommended private investigators about. I wanted the murder of my parents revenged by having you track down my killer and put him behind bars. Why didn't you walk over and ask us then? Fox asked. I was going to, but then I saw you both taking liquor shots, so I assumed you two were busy, she said, wiping what was left of her tears. Don't assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. We were taking shots like we normally would. We're never that busy, I responded. We never were. When we went to the Dream Pipe, we went there to relax and nothing more. Now that I think of it, I remember that on the second round it tasted sweeter than usual and a bit spicy. I have a feeling they might have been spiked, said a concerned Fox. Then again, he was right. So, how do you know he was right? I had nothing to do with it, defended Crystal. After a trip to the restroom, I went to find you both left. Then Big W came over, looking like he was searching for someone, and said that you were both staggering around in the alley. I felt so bad that I wanted to help you two out. I couldn't help seeing you both drunk, but then you both said nice things, and here was when she broke down into a sea of tears. I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. The kid was an orphan, had no family, and we were the only comfort by the looks of it. Even though we were intoxicated on such an unbelievable night, we still cared about the girl. She wiped her tears and looked at us with her eyes getting a tad red from her sorrows. If you don't want me, that's fine. I understand. But as she got up to leave us, possibly for good, Fox and I stopped her before she opened the door. Listen, kid, I said, hopefully cheering her up. This may have been unexpected of both of us, but we don't want you to go, Fox picked up. You led a rough life, and we want to make it up to you. We promise, after this case, I said meaningfully, we'll track down Mr. B and place him behind bars. Then we can all relax. For a long while, Fox finished. What are you guys, twins? We then noticed a change in her attitude. First a smile grew, then a ray of hope dawned on her, and soon enough she hugged both of us tightly. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Fox. I really appreciate it. Besides, I think I do remember hearing something about the shots being spiked while I was in the ladies' room. What? We both exclaimed. I was washing my hands, and I was next to the vent system that leads to the men's room. I eavesdropped on the conversation between Big W and some other guy. I couldn't recognize the voice, and they mentioned about slipping a drug made from the Inferno flower in a customer's second round of shots. Seeing that you were the only two who were taking Goomba shots, I assumed they were talking about you. Then it dawned on me and Fox. The Inferno flower was only available in Brazil, and there was only one crime boss that had access to such a rare plant. It was him all the time. Case solved. Who, exactly? I had no time. The character had to be put in our hands right away. Fox, you come with me. Crystal, you stay here. Guard the place and lock the door. This guy needs to be in our hands by today, or else who knows what might happen. I just opened the door when someone or something struck me hard on the head with a wooden club. It was hard enough to knock me out. As I fell to the floor, I heard a grunt from Fox, followed by Crystal's screams as my sight faded to darkness. Geez, this guy sure likes to get knocked out a lot, doesn't he? Okay, let's continue. I told you to get off my trail, Sam. Actually, I told Big W to give you that message, but you were warned either way, said a voice as rocky as gravel. I knew who it was. He was the one I was going to find and put behind bars. Instead, he found me. Of course, I was warned, but I never have good hearing. Don't you mean I've never had good hearing? I snapped back. Even when you are trying to hunt down and capture one of the fiendish crime bosses to ever exist in this city, Mr. B. That's right, Mr. B. He was behind it. In fact, he was behind a lot of things. As me sight came to, what are you, Irish? As my sight came to, I got a good glance at him. Bigger than me, spikes sticking out of the back of him, and looked like a cross between the devil and a large lizard stuck inside of a giant turtle shell. In fact, he was. The room was very bare, aside from a bed, a one-way listen radio, bathroom, and a cabinet. Welcome to the 24th floor of the Aterium, he said with a sneer. All this time, he was 40 floors below me. How could I have missed that? I began to lay the facts on him one by one. I knew it was you all along. You were behind everything. The murder of Crystal's parents and the murder of Mario. You killed her guardians just over a little debt that was left unpaid. You also snuffed out that Italian plumber just to gain control of the dream pipe. He just stood there and grinned wickedly. You're right on the money. But there's more to it. I want more than just the dream pipe. I want to open a business of my own. Koopa Paradise. A place where sins can run wild. Complete with gambling, hard liquor, sex, and greed. All under just one roof. A little get-together where the bad can roam wild. and then I shall mass produce this joint everywhere across the state.